Again, Jesus. There's power in the name of.
Reconcile in my mind that integrity is really not a spiritual quality. Integrity is a product of our will. Amen. So we are able to make a decision whether we want to be a person of integrity or not. Amen. And therefore, we look at people regardless of their background, regardless of their religious affiliation. We know people by their integrity. There are some people, we may not agree with their political viewpoints, but if they're a person of integrity, the political viewpoint is not the main thing that should be the reason that there's a disagreement. The integrity, when you're in need and distress, your political viewpoint don't matter. Amen. It is your integrity. And so with that in mind, being able to be born again is still a decision that we must make to be a person of integrity. We could spout out about our faith in God, about our belief, our love for God, but do you have integrity? Integrity. God respects, God gives attention to those who have integrity. A person with integrity gets God's attention. In Job chapter 2, verses 1 through 10, it says this. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, From whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? And still he holdeth fast his integrity. Although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. Verse 4 says, And Satan answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth your hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse you to your face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, he is in your hand, but save his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself with, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? And all this did not Job sin with his lips. Amen. A person with integrity gets God's attention. Notice what God said about Job. He says in verse 3, it says, and still he holdeth fast his integrity. He held on to the integrity. That means that there was an option or possibility that he could let go of his integrity. Integrity has to be fought for to hold on to. It's easy to let it go when things are not going your way. Look at this. A person with integrity gets God's attention because, first of all, they value integrity with God above all the things this world offers. There are people that are on their deathbed and they're holding on to some stress, anxiety, or bitterness towards someone, and they're unwilling to let it go. They die on their deathbed because they hold on to that. I witnessed that of a young man that I was ministering to. Him and his wife had a very contentious, short-term marriage. They were still married, and he was diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer. I go to the hospital and visit him, and he's so bitter, he's so angry that, and he wouldn't even allow his wife to come into the room. He was bitter because he's now sick. He's now dying at a young age. He was about 26 or 27 years old, and angry because all of a sudden now his hopes and his dreams seem to be dying right before his eyes. But yet a bitterness, maybe he didn't get the sympathy or the compassion from his wife that he thought he should have. I don't know the total root cause of it. But I go to the hospital to speak to him and to minister to him. And when I get there to find her in the waiting room, while there are family members that's in the room with him, and I ask what's going on. And she tells me that he won't allow her to come into the room and visit him. So I could go there, I ask the other people to leave the room so I could talk to him directly. And I shared with him, I said, listen, your prognosis is not good. Now the thing about it, it's not outside the realm or the possibility or the power of God to heal you. However, you got obstruction that may be making it impossible. And that is your bitterness towards your wife, your unwillingness to forgive her, your unwillingness to wash away whatever the problem is that seems to cause such anger in you. And finally, I talked to her to allow her to come into the room. But he would not even look at her. He held on to the bitterness. He held on to that. What are you holding on to? Amen. No matter what we're challenged with, no matter what we're facing, the one thing that we should hold on to is integrity. Your integrity. Oh, God responds to those that have integrity because they refuse to surrender integrity with God because of hardships. Some people get angry with God. They lose their house. They lose a child. They lose a spouse. They lose a job. They lose other things, friends, and they get upset and angry. They surrender their integrity because they treasured and valued those things more than they did God. They never sacrifice integrity with God to justify bad decisions. So a person that has integrity, we're not saying that they're perfect. We're not saying that they make every right decision. They make bad decisions. But they will not sacrifice integrity to justify a bad decision. They would not try to overlook their failure or their flaw to correctly decide what to do, trying to justify their actions. No, they acknowledge they're wrong. They recognize their failure and their flaws, but they own up to it. They know integrity with God is the foundation to build faith in God. So as you really want to know a person that got faith in God, watch what they do when their faith is challenged. Do they maintain their integrity? And it's as you maintain your integrity and you are trusting God, that's when the faith will be built up, have a stronger, more solid foundation. Because what you're going through today, whatever the challenge is, whatever your request, your petition is of God, it requires a certain level of faith. But what it's doing is it's undergirding the foundation. And so your integrity with God, believing that God is going to grant your petition or your request, He's going to meet your need based on you doing the right thing.
Amen.
And so when you face additional challenges or opportunity later on, you're not going to refer back to how you walked in integrity and God responded and God allowed you to experience what your desire was. And you say, now I'm still operating integrity. And your integrity will sustain you as you're facing your future challenges as you walk down the road. So please do not relinquish your integrity. Hold on to it. Fight for it. And you've got to give your life. Go to your grave with your integrity. Because that's what God respects. That's what God gives attention to, is integrity. And He's looking at Job. Job, who lost his family. He's lost his wealth. He's lost his servants. He lost so much. Now his health is at a very critical point, a very critical stage. And his wife comes to him and said, listen, I'm tired. Listen, I lost my children too, because my children, your children are my children. I lost my wealth also, so I'm in this here bankrupt along with you. She said, well, you went through, I went through also. But now you're there on that bed. You're there now going through this. You're there, and I know you can't live with you. We raise kids together. I know your integrity. But now under this distress you're going through, why in the world you still holding on to God? Oh my God, could you imagine? With all the other things that are going on in his life, all of a sudden now his wife. Yes. It is one thing to have the devil bother you. It is one thing to have friends and neighbors, come and attack you. But what is your wife? What is the one that you are so intimate with? The one that you have entrusted with the very essence of your being. The one that you say, listen, I want you to be mine. And through rain and snow, through the sun and the hardships, through good times and bad times, though rich and poor, you're the one that I want by my side.
Yes, amen.
Didn't have that one say, why in the world are you still holding on to your integrity? Curse God and die. I cannot express what Job felt at that time. But I know I wouldn't want my wife to come and present that as an argument to try to resolve any trouble that I'm going through. God responds to integrity. Look at this. In Psalm 26 verse 1. Psalm 26 verse 1, it says this. Judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity. I have trusted also in the Lord. Therefore I shall not slide. Integrity gives security that God will support us in times of trouble. Integrity gives us security. So I'm in trouble. But because I have walked in integrity and I've trusted in God, I'm not going to worry about the consequences or the things that may happen, because I have confidence and faith in God. Lord, I stand on my integrity. I walked, Lord, according to what I believe and know is right. I have not compromised. I have not skewed the issue, Lord, but Lord, I walked in integrity. And I'm not saying that I've been perfect. I'm not saying I made every right decision, but Lord, even when I made those decisions, I thought they were right at the time. But now that I know that they have been wrong and they're proven wrong, Lord, I want to acknowledge I was wrong. But I'm trusting you, Lord, because you know my heart, that what I was not doing it to try to please myself or to bring some kind of privilege and benefit to myself, to afflict and to harm others. Lord, you know the very intent of my heart. So judge me. Psalm 41 verse 12 says this: "And as for me, thou upholdest me in my integrity, and settest me before thy face forever." Oh yes. Integrity assures us of the favor of God. There is nothing that can deprive us of the favor of God when we walk in integrity. And the benefit of the favor of God is that He opens doors for you. He allows people, or He causes people to use their influence, to use their power, to use their resources to bring about what He wants to happen in your life. When we lack the resources, when we lack the power, we lack the opportunity, God is able to bring into our lives those that make us connected with them, where they all of a sudden open doors for us. Even when we don't deserve it. Oh, I bless the Lord. I bless Him right now. Because there's some things I want that I can't get on my own. There's some doors that need to be opened that I cannot open. But God knows who can. That's the power of integrity with God. See, integrity says, if I can't do it, my God can do it. Yeah, that's why you walk in integrity. Because God has to do things that you cannot do for yourself. God can move in the hearts of those that told you no. Yes. Those that told you it cannot be done. Those that are trying to shut the door in your face. God, because of your integrity, so I'm going to shower my favor upon you. Yes. And when people have been closing doors, turning their back, walking out your life, God has said, listen, I'm able to give you favor. As long as you got favor with me, don't worry about those that separate themselves from you. You want the favor of God. The favor of God allows things to happen for you that you never anticipated, things you never expected, things you thought was impossible. But because you said, listen, I'm going to walk in integrity, and I'm going to trust you. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to cheat, I'm not going to steal, I'm not going to compromise. Because there are some things that I want God to do in my life. Yes. Only God could turn the heart of a person. Yes. Yes. I mean, a person that could look you square in the face and tell you, I don't like you. I don't like what you stand for, but I don't know why. I just got to do this for you. Because you're walking in integrity. So God is able to cause things to happen. Don't give up. Don't surrender when it seems to be bleak and dark and things seem to be beyond your control. There are occasions that these things happen so our integrity could be tested. Yes. Will we use another means, another option, because there are always other options. But no, Lord, got to be my integrity. In Proverbs chapter 2, verse 6 7. And I'm going to read from the English Standard Version. The English Standard Version, it says this. For the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk in integrity. He's a shield to those who walk in integrity. So integrity opens the door to access the wisdom and knowledge and protection of God. When we're walking in integrity, you're very vulnerable at those times. I mean, vulnerable in the sense that there's things that could happen that you don't have control over, because you're willing to trust that the integrity is going to be the shield that's going to allow you to survive whatever comes out. Because when you walk in integrity, sometimes you got to confront some opposition that's much greater than you. Things and people that got more power than you. People that have control maybe over your position at work. Yeah, you got a boss. And that boss makes demands of you and requires certain actions on you. But sometimes those actions may require you to compromise your integrity. And if you don't do it, there's a threat of being fired. And so therefore the boss said, well, I want you to do this for me. But you said, I cannot do that. I cannot do that. And then what it does is you're now vulnerable to the job is at stake. You're at his job. You're being paid by him. So now the income that you're looking at, that's in your mind right now. You got to take care of your family. You got to meet your needs, your obligations. You got plans that you want to take care of. But now you're facing a boss that wants you to lie. A boss that wants you to deceive. A boss that wants you to compromise. And he is very, very demanding. He could be very, very antagonistic. Be very, very intimidating. Say, you better do this. And then you have to say, because you're walking in integrity, I'm sorry. It was nice to work here. I know it's not that easy, and I don't want to make light of it. Because there are people going through that all the time. There are people going through that. I mean, look at what's going on in politics right now. Some of the things that we got going on where people are doing all kind of things to justify they're trying to align themselves with power and influence. Amen. But to have a shield of the Lord say, I will protect you because you're walking in integrity. Oh my God. You go to school and your friends may laugh at you. They may criticize you and put you down because you're not in with the clique. You're not part of their crew. You're not with the gang. And they say, you want to be with us, you got to run with us. You got to be willing to ride with us. Oh, you got to be on our side. Yeah, and I would tell you, to be in integrity sometimes a threat to your life. There are gangs out there that threaten our children. And if you don't join with us, you don't do these things, all of a sudden now we're going to threaten your life. Right. So you don't go and do harm to this person, or you don't join us when we're going to steal from this area. Listen, you all of a sudden now you're our enemy. It takes integrity to stare death in the face and say, listen, I can't do that. And you got to trust that God is your shield, that God is your protector, that God is going to be there to fight your battle. Oh my God, I will tell you, sometimes it is not something that's quick and easy. You may be in the midst of the crisis for a long time, but you're trusting God to be with you step by step, every inch of the way, no matter how hard it gets. Your integrity says, I cannot bow, I cannot surrender, I cannot give up, I cannot do it your way. Integrity. God promised be your shield.
Jesus. Yes, God.
Proverbs 28, verse 18. And once again in the English Standard Version it says this. Whoever walks in integrity will be delivered. Amen. But he who is crooked in his ways will suddenly fall. Yes. Integrity makes available the resources of God to deliver us. Oh my! It is real challenging to our faith and challenging to our expectation when we are confronted with these dilemmas in our life. And they will come. So your living good do not promise you absence of problems. Absence of trouble, that you're going to go through life and it's going to be a smooth road. Everybody's going to love you. Oh my God. Whatever you do, it's just going to be like all of the world is coming in alignment with you. No, there's going to be opposition because, see, there's two people that's watching you, or I should say two people, I should say two beings that's watching our integrity, our level of integrity. That is God and the devil. Amen. God, see, our integrity gets the attention of God, but also gets the attention of the devil. Yes. And later on, we're going to look at what the devil does to try to get us to compromise our integrity, because he understands about some things about integrity that we are unaware of. And in a future lesson, we're going to talk about that. In this series, we're going to talk about how the devil robs us by challenging our integrity. I mean, just consider this, and just maybe I'll give you a little bit of a preview. Just consider this, that the blessing of God, that what God has for you, is behind a closed door. Yes. I mean, you can't see it, but it's there. The blessing of God is there behind this closed door. But now getting through that door becomes now the challenge. Because, see, you need a key to get through that door. And if that key is your integrity, you may not get through that door because you have not lived a life of integrity, so that God will now surrender the key to you. So what the devil does is he wants to distract us to get us interested in another door. Oh yeah, he has ways, oh my God. It's a door that God has for you may seem shut, locked, and bolted. And these are another easier way. There's another way, there's another option. And that's what he tries to do. Keep your eye on the door that God has for you. Amen. And let your integrity be the means in which you receive the key from God. Amen. Because what's behind that door is greater than anything that the devil could offer you. Amen. No one expects that to happen in their life, where in one day they will become was the richest person in the world to now being the poorest to go to the world. A day where now your 7 boys and your 3 girls, in 1 hour, they're all killed at one time. Where you lose everything, and then the next day, after all of that tragedy has happened to you, now there's an attack on your body. Yes. No one wanted to have that, but he endured that. And then after his wife comes, and his wife now becomes an impediment, a thorn in his flesh. And he makes it through that. Finally, he has 3 friends that come. And the friends come, and they're coming to console him, they're coming to hold him up, they're coming to encourage him, and they're sitting down there at his bedside. And they're quiet for an extended period of time. They're just mourning with him. They're mourning over his loss. they're mourning over his grief. They're mourning over his pain and his agony. They're friends, so they left their responsibility. They left their homes. They left their required activity and the things that they could have been engaged in. No, my friend is hurting. My friend is going through some distress and trouble. I got to go and sit with him. I got to grieve with him. I got to suffer with him. These are friends.
Yes.
Friends that he's been knowing for decades. Friends that have been with him during the good time. Friends that celebrate him when he had the birth of his children, all 10 of them. Friends that were with him at their weddings, at their confirmations, at their baptism. Friends that have been there with him, and he's been with his friends. So these are intimate relationships. These are well-respected men. Men that have notoriety. Men that have position and power in the community. These are men that are well-respected. And they come and they sit by Job's bedside. And they sit there for a long time.
Amen.
And they're pondering his condition. But then they open their mouth. And all they could speak about, Job, this must have been your fault. Job, we know that a righteous person do not suffer unjustly. We know if you had done right, God would not have punished you. We know based on our teaching and our belief that God is a good God and he would not allow trouble to visit your house. Job, you had to do something, Job. Listen, we don't know, but and we wasn't even here, but just from what we see, we know you did something. Because, and we have to be very careful, because sometimes we try to justify God.
Yes.
Yeah, God is a good God. Yeah, God is a good God, but God will allow your integrity to be tested. And they spewed out their philosophy. They spewed out their theories. They spewed out their theology over an extended period of time. And God allowed them to sit there. And Job, he couldn't even get up and walk out the room. He was so weak, but he was so respectful. He didn't tell them to get out of the house. He let them stay there in his house. And I mean, that's one thing to criticize a person outside their house. But then to come inside their house and criticize them and put them down and blame them. And when you don't know the story, and people do that. They don't know your story, and yet they got all the solutions. They got all the answers. They know what your situation is all about, and they don't know, but yet they can perceive in their mind. But you still got to be a person of integrity. You got to be a person that you don't curse them when they curse you. You don't lie to them when they lie to you. You don't get bitter and angry with them because they misunderstand. No, you're a person of integrity. And God rewarded Job because even under that intense scrutiny, even when they was misdiagnosing Job's situation, when they were saying the wrong things about God, understand this, these guys believed that they were saying the right things about God. But God said, no, you wasn't. Look what God says in Job chapter 42. And when people that claim to have all of the religious and the spiritual insight that they believe is necessary to diagnose your situation. In Job chapter 42 verse 7 it says this. And it was so that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against you and against your two friends, for you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job. That blew my mind. That caught my attention, because they never said something negative about God. They never Don't we do that? We see people suffering. Well, God did that to them. We think how we perceive things and how we analyze things and what we blame on God.
Yes.
He says, for you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job had.
Amen.
Verse 8 of chapter 42 says, therefore, notice what God's remedy, what God not going to require of Job's 3 friends. He said, therefore, take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering. I mean, this must have just knocked their socks off. That all of a sudden now they got to take their sacrifice to God. They got to go to Job. The one that they've been criticizing, the one that they've been blaming, the one that said that God was just in everything that He done to you. Now they got to go and humble themselves before God. To Job. See, God has a way of making those that have criticized you unjustly that have to come and apologize to you. He said, listen, you spoke wrong about me. Job, in all his distress, and all his anguish, all his loss, and all his suffering, he spoke the right thing about me. Amen. But you've been wrong. And then he goes on to say this here. He says, take this bullocks and 7 rams and go to my servant Job and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering. Notice, and my servant Job shall pray for you. God knows how to flip the switch. He knows how to turn things around. He knows how to bring you out of darkness into light. He knows how to lift you up if you maintain your integrity. No matter what people say about you, there comes a day when God says all of a sudden, now I'm going to change things. The person that walked in integrity, you're going to have to now acknowledge them. Oh, he says, and Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, in that you have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job.
Amen.
Verse 9 says, so Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did according as the Lord commanded them. The Lord also accepted Job. So there's another critical aspect about it. That Job had to pray for them. Job had to forgive them. Job had to let bygones be bygones. Job had to not allow their foolishness to penetrate his spirit to cause him to compromise his integrity. His integrity now is that, okay, Job, pray for them. It's hard to pray for somebody that's been talking about you. Hard to pray for somebody that's been lying on you. Hard to pray for somebody that denied you what's rightfully yours. Oh yeah, you at work and you're going for a position and someone lies on you that you're denied the position they get it. Tell me that you pray for them. Now, yeah, you may pray for them, but do you pray the right prayer? Oh yeah. I mean, your neighbor that have done you wrong, and maybe they threw garbage over your fence on your yard. Oh, come on, y'all. Come on. Y'all here? Oh, yeah. But God requires us as being people of integrity. Yes. That we have to we're doing it out of instruction from God. See, that's the critical key. It's not out of feeling bad for them or being vulnerable, not vulnerable, but being a welcome mat to them. But no, out of knowing that God is instructing us to pray for them. Verse 10 says, and the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Notice when the captivity would turn. Notice when the problems ceased. Notice when the devil was arrested and driven away. It says, and the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. And some of us, we're waiting for God to turn our captivity. Lord, I'm waiting for you to heal me. I'm waiting for you to deliver me. I'm waiting for you to fix my marriage. I'm waiting for you to deliver my kids. I'm waiting for you to open new doors. I'm waiting for you to bless me with a new job. I'm waiting for you to do this and do that. You were waiting so much for God. But maybe God is waiting for us. He says, and the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Now notice, he didn't turn the captivity, he didn't give Job twice as much as he had before until Job prayed. Integrity. So Job is still broke, busted, disgusted. He still now is a father that have lost 7 kids. He still got a wife that is cantankerous and angry and bitter. He still got friends there that are doing wrong. But yet, in the midst of that, God said, I'm going to really test your integrity. I want you to pray for them. Pray for them while your heart is still broken. Pray for them while you're still going through your trial and your test. Pray for them when you're going through distress. Pray for them when you're in need just as much as they are. Amen. A test of our integrity. It is when we operate in obedience to God's call, that's when our integrity will be rewarded. See, you can't go halfway through the struggle and say, Lord, I've been filled with integrity, but then this happened, Lord, and it just threw me off. No. You got to go all the way through. I mean, I cannot aim to go to Florida and stop in Washington, D.C. and say, okay, I've ended the journey. No, I got to go all the way to Florida if that's my destination. Job's integrity was proved because he always spoke the right thing about God. Look what it says in verse 7. You have not spoken of me the thing that is right as my servant Job has. Verse 8. You have not spoken of me the thing which is right like my servant Job. He mentioned it twice. That's how much God respected the integrity of Job. Then Job's integrity was sincere because God accepted him in his prayers. In verse 8. My servant Job shall pray for you, for him will I accept. In verse 9, the Lord also accepted Job. Amen. Job's integrity was rewarded because God turned his situation around. In verse 10, we just read it. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Amen. Is God waiting for us to do something to prove our integrity to completion, to see it through completion? That maybe something we've been praying for, and we've been praying for ourselves. Notice Job, that's another interesting point about this. He's not called to pray for himself. He said, pray for your friends. Job, wait a minute, because I got a lot on the table here. I got things I want sometimes. That's the things I got. Lord, you want me to pray for them? Let me pray for myself pray by ourselves.
Right.
That we can't hear God when he tells us to pray for somebody else. Or we may not want to hear God.
Amen.
Saying pray for somebody else. That may be holding up the release from the captivity that we're in. Amen, y'all.
Amen.
Yeah, we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty about integrity. We're living in a day and time where integrity is not valued. We have people that they want your loyalty, but they don't want integrity in you. Because as somebody named Emanuel Bennett says, let me just read that quote by him. When you are loyal and have integrity, you're free. But where there is loyalty and no integrity, you are a slave. Let us pray. Father, we thank and bless you and we honor you because you're great and you're awesome, God. And as Job experienced,
Say it again, Jesus. There's power in the name